Hello, genealogists. This is Craig, and this is Book Sunday. I don't know whether I've ever told you before that this is my favorite video of the week, Book Sunday, because I get to touch new books, or new books to Heritage Books, or new books to somebody else, or things that are just interest me because they're books. So that's what today is all about. Because another week goes by where we only have one book, and this is a strange situation, I need to tell you. The book is Land Records of Worcester County, Maryland, 1666 to 1810. And you might say to me, but Craig, that book was first published in 1989, I think, 1987. And then it was reprinted in 1992 and reprinted in 2015. And you're calling it a new book today? It is new today to Heritage Books because when Heritage Books bought Colonial Roots, it somehow missed that this was an available book in their repertoire. Nothing like purchasing a company full of books and skipping a book. And that's what we did. And fortunately, Gwen came to me and said, I ordered the wrong book. I didn't want Wycomico. I wanted Worcester. And I looked, and it could be pronounced Worchester. Worcester's in Massachusetts. I never can keep it straight. So I don't even try, truthfully, because all it does is demonstrate that I'm not from there. So I went looking for the book, and I looked in our website, wasn't there. I looked in our database of books, it wasn't there. I looked for on our printer, Worcester County, Maryland land records, and it wasn't there. I looked in our database of databases. It was there, but very incomplete and out of print. And you know what I finally did? I do whatever I do when I have trouble finding a book. No, I did not go to Amazon. That's my number two. My number one is worldcat.org. I went to worldcat.org and found the book on worldcat.org and saw that it was published by Colonial Roots in 2015, along with Family Line Publications before that, which meant it was published by me as Willow Bend Books before that and taken away from me, but that's a long story. When the author took a whole bunch of stuff when he created Colonial Roots. So now back in print is Worcester County, Maryland land records. The reason I couldn't find it in our printer was because it was filed under the title Land Records of Worcester County, not Worcester County, Maryland land records. And it has to be perfect, in perfect order. It could be a phrase, but in perfect order for us to be able to find it in our printing database. Here it is, if you need it. So that's the only book that came in new at Heritage Books, and I'm getting tired of saying there are lots more books coming, and there are. I just talked to our publications division director, Leslie, coming back from Myrtle Beach. She dropped by the warehouse to pick up some books to get reprinted. I like those kind of words. And talked about Sparacio's books, the 75, they're still out of print. Where are they? And she's working on them. So they should be here at some point in time. So when I went to South Carolina, I'm now entering the weird part of this video. So when I went to South Carolina, as I told you, I picked up a whole bunch of books from Southern Historical Press. And all of them have been cataloged except for, let's see. Oh, I can't show them to you. A stack this tall, two stacks this tall. Yeah, two stacks this tall. They're right. Nope, wrong way. There they are. Those need to be cataloged still. So I can show them to you. But today I started working on some of them because every day is a work day for me because I love to work and I love my work. And I came across a book I knew nothing about. And it's called Loyalists of East Florida. I have 2 talks on Loyalists on Family Tree webinars. I've given talks on Loyalists to United Empire Loyalist chapters in Canada, 2 of them. So I know a little bit about Loyalists, and I didn't know about this book. This book is not a book of names necessarily, but it is a book of what the history of Loyalists were in East Florida. Remember, East Florida is there's British East Florida, there's West Florida, there's all kinds of things, all kinds of entities in that area of the world who did not join with the other 13 colonies and were pretty much loyalists. But what's nice about this book is it has a rather huge bibliography, which I'm going to be poring over. And it does talk about refugees and the evacuation of East Florida and refugees from other colonies coming into this area and the campaigns in East Florida. So that's pretty cool. Recognize that most of the loyalists who from this area, if my recollection is correct, are probably going to end up in the Caribbean, and many of them actually are going to come back a few years later to the United States. So the Loyalists of East Florida, new book in our repertoire from Southern Historical Press. Then the other day I gave a talk, or I'm about to give a talk, or I'm not sure whether actually, truth be told, I think the talk is going to be tomorrow. And I'm talking about Quincy, Illinois immigrants, and I forgot a book. So I'm adding this book, Quincy, Illinois immigrants from Lippe, 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 I don't know, Germany. It's all part of Westphalia. And evidently, Michael Brinkman didn't have any relatives from this area of Germany, but he became intrigued because so many of them ended up in Quincy, Illinois. So what we have is vignettes, biographical data on the immigrants into Quincy from, these are all Low Germans, into Quincy from Westphalia and another place in Westphalia. So I want to add that to the list, sort of a correction before it needs to be corrected. That I've never had that happen before. That's largely because I try to do a few of these, very few ahead, but Book Sunday generally doesn't happen until the day before because I'm always anxious to have another book show up, and I have to wait for the post guy to show up in case he might show up with another book, because they come both by UPS and by USPS. So I have to wait for him to see if he might bring me another book. He didn't. He didn't bring me any mail, but he took lots of mail away. So the most sold book this week in Heritage Books, for some strange reason, was German Religious Life in Colonial Times by Lucy Fortinger-Bittinger. And if you're interested in Germans in colonial times, this is a great book. And the funniest thing was that the second most popular book this week was Louisiana's German Heritage. So if you're interested in Louisiana and German heritage, that book is available also. Just seemed kind of strange how that happened. So you may remember a couple of Fridays ago, I did a talk on the Navy and Navy books. And the time when I gave the wrong date for the Navy birthday, I was a day off, and the wrong number of years. I was like 3 or 4 years off also. And I promised to talk about light aircraft carriers. Well, this is the book, Independence Light Aircraft Carriers. And these were aircraft carriers that were built on the hulls of cruisers that were about to become cruisers, and instead they converted them into light aircraft carrier. And they were used to supplement the fast attack carriers, the Essex class, that came out in late 1942. My father tells me that he was on the Essex. And this author, Andrew Fulton, did a book on the Essex class carriers, which I only have one copy of in my library. It's woefully out of print, but the light carrier book is not. So to make up for my stupidity, I'm going to offer the Independence Light Aircraft Carrier book at a 40% discount. So if you just type in AC40, that will get you a discount of 40% on the light aircraft book. And I'll be sure to write that down so I don't forget. I don't think I have anything else for today. So this has been Craig. This has been Book Sunday, Just Genealogy's favorite day, my favorite day. It looks like only a couple of people submitted the quiz, and I'll be in touch with each one of those to deal with it. And maybe next year we'll do it again to see if we can get more people to participate. If you'd like me to do specific kinds of skill tests, let me know what kind of skill tests you want done. Or if you've got a document that needs to be read, we'll crowdsource it just for fun. See how many people bite. It's too much fun here at Just Genealogy, and the work just keeps stacking up. You'll be safe. Have a great day. And November is almost upon us, as is Halloween. That means I'm going to gain 5 pounds. I have to work it off by reading. Try that. It works marvelous.